Another USA-Brazil matchup, and this one was even more of a dogfight than the last. There was so much contact. We had clean hits, we had dirty hits, but of course the big story is how this match descended into complete and utter chaos. There were 8 red cards and some of the most shameful moments I've ever seen in the sport. But I'm going to break down the method behind the madness to show you how the US used tactical fouls and a mostly cool temperament to come out ahead. I'm Brady O'Toole, and welcome to the first ever episode of Busy Watching Whatever the Hell This Sport Is. There were some great comments last episode around just take the foul. We looked at that play that started with a breakdown with Claire Hutton, Lily Johannes, and the feedback overwhelmingly was, let's see Lily Johannes take the foul there. Well, I think this team got the memo because we saw the tactical fouls come in early, and we saw them from a lot of different players on the US squad. This play starts with a missed tackle from Lily Johannes, and you're going to see the response from both Emily Sonnet and Rose Lavelle really wanting to cover that central area of the pitch where we saw breakdowns last time. I just find it so funny that it was both of them trying to get in on this play. But here's a really big deal for me is look at the reaction every single time a US player gets a card for this, and look at how consistent they are. We're going to have a reset on a corner here, second opportunity play, but great recognition from Claire Hutton that Emily Sonnet is down. And look at the reaction, same thing, calm, chill, no talking, no response, no escalation. This is one of the biggest things that makes me very certain this was a coaching point, along with seeing Claire Hutton, Emma Sears, some of the younger players getting involved here, being really confident about this. What a turn of events. What I think the U.S. layered on top of their tactical fouls is just replicating what Brazil was doing. So there was still a lot of shoving, there was still a lot of pushing, but I think the US played less of a fair and less of a clean game. So Lily Johannes going to get shoved over here, grabs the ball when she goes down, pro move, make sure the referee has to blow the whistle. Same thing for Avery Patterson here, except she's going to be a little bit sneaky, a little bit unfair, delay the restart there. But here's the thing, Brazil was constantly trying to delay restarts. Last match, this match, so the US are just giving Brazil's own game back to them. Great example here from Emily Fox, forcing the referee to get involved and make a call, not even a call, but just to do something. Same thing here, camera's going to cut out a little bit, but watch where she is. She's not stupid, she knows she's well over the touchline, but if your opponent is not having their behavior addressed by the ref, just replicating that behavior, doing something even more silly, great way to get it called. Excellent example here. Previously, I think we see the players just complain and whine, hey, I want my 10 yards, but Lily Johannes just kick that ball. Get the card served up and move on with it. And look at the comparison. Our player is not complaining when they're getting those cards. Brazil whining about it. Very, very different attitudes between the two teams. I think that was really important. Here's another example. Emily Sonnet shoves Bia once. She's going to shove Bia a second time. And then guess who's going to retaliate? That's all it takes. It's playing the same game, but retaliating is not the move. So I'm going to call it replicate. Don't retaliate, don't escalate. That was the US recipe. Replicate what Brazil are doing without escalating things. How do we see these two factors influence the game? Well, for me, it really comes down to shots on target. Brazil with none. Stunning. And I'm not going to pretend like that has nothing to do with Dudinha leaving the match early, but Brazil just looked frazzled, frustrated, disjointed, and not like themselves, quite frankly. They had 2 good free kick opportunities that were completely wasted, if you ask me. And I really think this comes down to reactions and emotions during the course of the match. We saw when the US are getting their cards, they're calm, they're expecting it. And when Brazil are getting their cards, they're upset, they're irritated. And that comes through in everybody's actions. A lot of these clips, I feel like Brazilian defenders are over pursuing, they're overstepping. This one, it's just unfortunate that Rodman gets through there for them, but they're starting to panic. You can see it setting in, that they're feeling this assault, this onslaught. So now defenders are having to get more involved. They're having to make more big plays, and people's judgment starts to fall off a little bit, especially late in the game when you're really tired. Like for me, Isa Haas here, she is way too focused on the contact with Wilson. Again here, way too focused on the contact. She is not covering that lane. She's instead focusing on when can I get that second hit and when can I bring her down. And Wilson is just so resilient here to not be bothered, just continue playing her same game. This is such a typical Sophia Wilson play. I love to see it. The US are just doing everything right mentally this match. There's no way I was going to get through this video without talking about the officiating, so here's my personal take on it. I think this crew made 3 mistakes. The first has to do with coaches' conflicting shirt color. This should have been identified well before the match started. If it was identified and he wasn't wearing the penny, that should have been addressed well before the 37th minute. This specific play, I think, should have been stopping a promising attack and a second yellow card for Gio. Go back to the first 2 tactical fouls committed by the US that I included. One has a yellow card, one doesn't. I think the setup for this looks way more like the yellow card situation, and I think if the first red card had come out before halftime, we would have avoided a lot of pain. Third issue for me is this red card from a ref after the match, the center here running like an attack dog after a player. I have never seen anything like this. However, referees are not expected to call perfect games. The real issue for me is the lack of respect for the officials. We saw this coach get cards in both matches. We saw this coach repeat the same inflammatory behaviors in both matches. And it is incredibly frustrating because I actually really like Artur Elias. I think he's a great coach, but he was disrespectful to the fourth in the first match. He was incredibly disrespectful to the fourth in the second match. Refereeing is hard. And this ref crew needs to instill a belief that they are in charge. And when you refuse to leave the field of play, when you're coaching after you've gotten a red card, that does not instill belief in the refereeing crew. Artur Elias set the tone at the top that said, do whatever the fuck you want. Look at everybody just coming out of the technical area there. Look at Bia just shoving someone. It was so off for me. And how are you expecting your team to play a clean, fair game if you can't lead in a clean, fair manner? I think we saw some really, really sad moments this match, and I hate it. I hate it. You never want to see the riot police coming out to step in and protect the referees. This is, this for me is like, there's a lot of reasons people don't enjoy men's sports, and this kind of behavior is a really big one of them. I never want to see this crap again. Got more Brazil content coming your way. Please look out for a next episode of Into the Channel. I'll be hanging out with Grant and Dino to break down the matches. They are the absolute best creators in this space. I'm really excited for that. And then also, I think we had a lot of players lock their spot up during the last 2 matches, so I think it's time to do another full roster predictions. See you soon. Thank you for hanging out.